Good evening, all. This is Ganesh Narasimha. I am a PhD student in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. Now, I'll be presenting my work on wall model LES of transitional channel flows with turbulent non-turbulent classification achieved using a machine learning technique. I thank my advisor, Professor Menavu, Professor Zaki, and our funding agency, the ONR, for supporting this work. Now, I will start by discussing the idea behind using LES for simulating the transition process. We all know that LES is computationally more efficient when compared to the DNS, as we resolve only the large-scale flow structures and model the small-scale flows. Some of the studies on simulating the transition process using LES are listed here, where wall-resolved LES was used for simulating the transition process. Since wall-resolved LES resolves the viscous sublayer, it becomes computationally expensive as we increase the Reynolds number. Wall model LES provides a good alternative to overcome this problem. We don't resolve the viscous sublayer in wall model LES. Therefore, it can further decrease the computational cost. However, using wall model LES assumes the flow to be fully turbulent and impose wrong wall stress in the laminar region. Hence, wall model LES does not capture the right transition location or mechanism. For instance, consider the adjacent plot that shows the transition of a friction coefficient on a flat plate boundary layer as reported in Bernard and Larson. We can clearly see that wall model LDS overpredicts the friction coefficient in the laminar regions. In the contour shown above, uh, for wall model LDS, it is evident that the flow undergoes transition almost immediately after the wall model is applied. To overcome this problem, Bodat and Larson proposed a sensor-based wall model LES technique, using which the turbulent, non-turbulent classic regions are identified first and wall model is applied only in the turbulent regions of the flow. A turbulent kinetic energy-based sensor was used in the study that captured the right transition location and mechanism. However, a threshold value for the sensor was chosen in an ad hoc fashion. Choosing a threshold is not desirable when we have to tune the model for different flow scenarios. To this end, in this study, we propose using a machine learning-based technique called self-organizing map, or SOM, to perform the turbulent non-turbulent classification. The idea is similar to using a turbulent kinetic energy sensor. However, this method does not require the user to choose a threshold for the sensor. So what is self-organizing map? SOM is an unsupervised machine learning classification algorithm. Consider the adjacent video that shows the working of SOM. Suppose we have 3 clusters in the training data. The SOM iteratively identifies the centroid location of these clusters. Using these centroid location, we can construct the equation of the planes that bisect the different clusters and use it to identify the clusters in the test data. The TNT classification using SOM was successfully demonstrated in the study done by Wu et al. In 2019. In this study, the SOM was applied to the transitional boundary layer dataset available on the Hopkins turbulence database. A 16-dimensional input vector was constructed from the data. The input vector consisted of velocities, the perturbation velocities, the 9 components of the velocity gradient tensor, the streamwise, and the wall normal coordinate. The vector is normalized by the standard deviation of each component. The SOM training then gives the weights associated with these different components, from which the equation of the hyperplane bisecting the turbulent non-turbulent clusters is obtained. This hyperplane equation is then used for TNT classification on a test data. So how is SOM training done for the current study? We use the DNS of the bypass transition of localized perturbation for the SOM training. The training data consists of a combination of laminar snapshot and the fully turbulent snapshot. The normalized input vector is constructed from this data and passed to the SOM, which gives the coefficient vector A. Using these weights, we obtain the hyperplane equation, from which if we apply it on the training data, it gives the corresponding turbulent, non-turbulent regions at different instances as shown in these adjacent contours. We clearly see that the black solid line that marks the turbulent, non-turbulent interface perfectly identifies the turbulent spot region. Downstream the flow, the spot grows in the channel and the SOM captures this growth as well. These coefficients and the standard deviation are now used to identify the turbulent, non-turbulent regions on the test data, that is in wall model LDS. Before going into the details of the wall model, I'll briefly discuss about the subgrid scale model used in this study. The governing equations are the filter Navier-Stokes equations. We solve the continuity equation, the momentum equation with the divergence of the subgrid stress tensor. The subgrid stress is modeled using an eddy viscosity model. The eddy viscosity is obtained from a dynamic Smith-Rinsky model. For wall resolved LES cases, we use a scale-independent dynamic Smith-Rinsky model. And for wall model LES cases with and without SOM, we use a scale-dependent model. The scale dependency is modeled using the Mason wall damping function. And in wall model LES with SOM, the averaging in the dynamic procedure process is done considering only the turbulent regions of the flow, giving a better estimate for the eddy viscosity. Also, the eddy viscosity in the laminar regions of the transitional flow are set to 0 as shown in the adjacent counterplot. Now, I will discuss about the details of the wall model. Once the turbulent non-turbulent classification is made, we apply equilibrium wall model as discussed in Menneberg 2020 only in the turbulent regions of the flow. The model assumes the flow is fully turbulent and is in near wall equilibrium. A numerical solution is obtained by solving the Range equation, neglecting the unsteady and acceleration terms, along with using the Van Dries damping function that smoothly merges the viscous sublayer and the log layer. The solution is obtained in dimensionless form in terms of the unknown grid friction velocity Reynolds number Re tau delta and the known grid velocity Reynolds number Re delta. An explicitly fitted function is obtained that relates the two Reynolds numbers. From this function, the Re tau delta is estimated from a given Re delta. Using this Re tau delta, the kinematic wall stress and the corresponding shear stress components are evaluated and applied as a boundary condition in the turbulent regions. In the laminar regions of the flow, no slip condition is applied. With this background on the governing equations, subgrid scale, the subgrid stress model, and wall model with turbulent non-turbulent classification using SOM, now let us look at some results. Let us first consider the case of wall model LES with SOM, the bypass transition. We consider the bypass transition of a localized perturbation. The simulation details are discussed in the table. We perform wall model LES with and without SOM and compare the results of the DNS and the wall resolved LES. Note that the grid used for wall model LES is roughly 10 times coarser than the DNS grid. The grid resolutions for wall model LES, the delta X plus and delta Z plus are 62, whereas in DNS they are 6.2. It suggests that the wall model LES grid is roughly 10 times coarser. Similarly, the wall resolved LES is roughly 4 times coarser than the DNS grid. We consider two different amplitude epsilon for the perturbation. 1.5 into 10 power minus 4 is a small amplitude perturbation and 2.2097 is a large amplitude perturbation. The initial velocity field consists of the Posey base flow with a localized perturbation as shown in the schematic. The structure of the localized perturbation given by the adjacent stream function is plotted in these contours. These contours represent two counter-rotating vortex pairs aligned along the streamwise direction as shown in the isosurface contour plot. The red isosurface is a counterclockwise rotating vortex and the blue isosurface represents a clockwise rotating vortex. Orientation of this initial perturbation with respect to the streamwise direction is varied by the angle theta as shown in this figure. Now let us look at the case of small amplitude perturbation. Based on the DNS done by Henningsen et al., the small amplitude perturbation remains laminar throughout the evolution. In plot A, the evolution of the kinetic energy from wall model LES with SOM for different initial orientations are shown. The plot shows that there is an initial linear amplification of the energy for all cases due to lift-up mechanism, and the energy eventually decays due to viscous dissipation. Even the theta equal to 45-degree case that has the largest amplification eventually decays. The kinetic energy evolution during the initial times for t less than 40 is shown in plot B. The markers represent the kinetic energy from the DNS in Henningsen et al. Then in 1993. It is clear that the wall model LES with SOM perfectly captures the energy growth like DNS. Looking at the friction Reynolds number in plot C, the RE tau for the wall model LES with SOM remains laminar throughout the evolution. The RE tau for wall model LES without SOM starts off with a higher value than the laminar RE tau and remains constant around RE tau equal to 90. This shows that the wall model LES without SOM does not apply the right wall stress in the laminar regions of the flow. These observations suggest that wall model LES with SOM rightly classifies all the points in the flow to be laminar, confirming the proper working of SOM. Now let us focus our attention on the large amplitude perturbation. Let us compare the RE tau evolution from DNS, wall resolve LES, wall model LES with and without SOM for the theta equal to 0 case. The black solid line in is the RE tau from the Agarwal et al. The green line is RE tau from wall resolve LES, which agrees closely with the DNS in the laminar stage but underpredicts the RE tau in the fully turbulent region. Similar underprediction of RE tau is reported in wall resolve LES of natural transition in the studies done by Sayedi and Mine in 2012. The underprediction is attributed to inadequate production of subgrid scale stress. The blue curve is RE tau evolution from wall model LES without SOM. The RE tau in the laminar stages of the evolution is higher than the DNS as the wall model applies a higher wall stress in these regions, whereas the fully turbulent stage closely agrees with the DNS. The red curve is RE tau from the wall model LES with SOM. This case rightly predicts the RE tau in the laminar stages of evolution, similar to the DNS because SOM rightly classifies most of the regions as laminar. The RE tau in the transitional and the fully turbulent stage also agrees well with the DNS. The contours from the evolution of the streamwise perturbation, wall stress, and the eddy viscosity at the wall model height are shown here. The laminar regions are shown with grayscale map, and the turbulent regions are shown with the hot color map. At each instance, SOM identifies the right turbulent spot region in the flow. We can clearly see the growth of the turbulent spot uh, that eventually transition to a fully turbulent state. Plot B shows the RE tau evolution from wall model LES with SOM for different initial orientations. The plot suggests that all cases undergo transition. These observations suggest that wall model LES with SOM rightly captures the bypass transition location and mechanism that is closer to the DNS. Now let us consider the case of orderly transition. We studied the subcritical transition of 2D TS wave plus 3D oblique wave in the presence of Poiseuille base flow. Again, the grid chosen for the LES, wall model LES, is roughly 15 times coarser than the DNS, and the grid chosen for wall resolved LES is roughly 3 times coarser than the DNS. The initial condition for the orderly transition is obtained by solving the linear stability equations. We solve the all-Sommerfeld and the square equations at a Reynolds number of 3333 based on the bulk velocity and the half channel height. The mode shapes of the 2D TS wave and the 3D oblique waves are shown in the line plots. These mode shapes are rescaled such that the amplitude of the TS wave are 3% of the centerline velocity and 3D oblique waves are 0.1 or 0.4% of the centerline velocity. The 3D velocity fields are constructed from these mode shapes and the corresponding contour plots are shown here. The initial velocity fields with different phase differences are also considered. Let us now look at the wall model LES of orderly transition and how it compares with DNS and wall resolve LES. In plot A, the RE tau evolution from DNS, wall resolve LES, and wall model LES with and without SOM are plotted together. The RE tau from DNS and wall resolve LES match well with each other. The wall model LES without SOM predicts a higher RE tau at the beginning and saturates at RE tau of 110. The wall model LES with SOM predicts the right RE tau in the laminar region and eventually undergoes transition to a fully turbulent state that has RE tau similar to DNS. However, the transition time is a bit delayed, as shown here. The attached video shows the evolution of the perturbation from the laminar stage to a turbulent state. We can clearly see the formation of the lambda structures during the early times. For example, at time t equal to 50, which yeah, which we'll be able to see here. Uh, we see that the formation of the lambda structures will be clearly visible around these initial times, as shown here now. Yeah. So, and these lambda structures eventually breaks down and undergoes transition. In plot B, the time evolution of RE tau for initial condition with different phases are plotted together. It is evident that all phases undergo transition except phi equal to pi by 4. The transition is sensitive to so this shows that the transition is sensitive to different phase and amplitude of the perturbation. Now, using wall model LES with SOM, we can capture the different transition mechanisms, namely the H and K type transition processes, varying the number of subharmonics in the oblique mode of the initial condition. One could capture the different transition mechanisms. Choosing two subharmonics in the streamwise direction and retaining one subharmonic in the spanwise direction, we can see that the resulting lambda structures leads to are aligned, indicating are staggered, indicating that the transition process is of H-type mechanism. Whereas the initial condition with one subharmonic in each direction leads to lambda structures that are aligned with each other, indicating the transition through a K-type mechanism. This shows that wall model LES with SOM is capable of capturing the right transition mechanism. In conclusion, we propose wall model LES with TNT classification using SOM as a new technique to simulate the transition process. The technique is computationally efficient as it requires a much coarser grid than the DNS and Waltazar LES. We find that the wall model SOM is roughly 10 power 4 times faster than the DNS and 300 times faster than the Waltazar LES, suggesting that wall model SOM or the wall model LES with SOM is computationally less expensive. We saw that wall model LES with SOM can simulate both trial bypass and orderly transition processes. With that, I would like to conclude my talk and would be happy to take questions. Thank you.